Hi everyone, my name is Bailey Cobb. I'm doing my PowerPoint presentation over juvenile delinquents, recidivism rates in Indiana. The objective of this is to learn what causes reoffending in juvenile delinquents, what we can do to stop it. Does age, race, and gender really play a role in reoffending? Learning basically why juveniles reoffend and, like I said, how to stop it, and does education really play a role in it? What is recidivism? That's a very good question. According to Webster's Dictionary, recidivism is a tendency to relapse into a previous condition or mode of behavior, especially relapse into criminal behavior. Reoffending through the years, according to Indiana Department of Corrections, over the past few years, recidivism rates have slowly increased. Not been much of a huge jump at one time, but slowly showing an increase. The chart below shows kind of how it's slowly changing over time. Reasons behind offending, there are quite a few, but here are the main ones. No parental control is a huge one. So when a child doesn't have a family that really cares and puts their foot down to things, they're more likely to become involved in gang activity, drug violence, things like that. Social class also plays a huge role. Children that live in a low social class are more likely to be involved in, like I said, drugs and gangs, where if you live in a more upscale community, you're less likely to have that. Friends are a huge one. If you surround yourself with friends that are always going to jail and always into trouble, you're going to do that. And it's also not helpful when you get out, because it's just going to get you put back in the where you came from in the first place. And mental disorders, it's not a huge one, but it still kind of plays a factor. Gender does play a role in reoffending. In the Department of Corrections 2014 study, it shows that juvenile males are more likely to offend through their lifetime, where females tend to reoffend just until they're 18 or 20s. They don't typically go up into their 30s, 40s like men do. Education and recidivism rates. Absolutely, education helps kids. In all the research I've done, it says that it keeps their minds busy and it makes them have something to look forward to, especially if it's teaching of guitar lessons, like in Teen Vogue. They did a study and how education certainly keeps children out of trouble. This is the article I was talking about. Teen Vogue in 2017 did this. A man named Jeremy Osborne started teaching a classical guitar lesson to young men who had recently gotten out of jail, and instead of trying to put them in rehab or anything, this technically was their rehab. And all the men that spoke about it said that they loved it so much they would not do anything to go back into jail, because they knew they would lose this and not be able to go to class anymore. Race and recidivism rates. Race also definitely is a huge factor in this. The Department of Corrections also gathered information in a 2016 study. The African Americans make up 42.4% of recidivism rates, 27.9% Caucasian, 41.5% Hispanic, and 25.4% make up all the other races. Living in a big city also plays quite a big role, not as big as others, but also according to Indiana Department of Corrections 2016 study, living in a large city such as Indianapolis, Gary, things like that, that shows that children are more likely to be involved in those gang activities and drug problems. Whereas if you lived in Park County, Vermilion County, you're going to have much more of a small, tight-knit community. So studies show that you're less likely to have children go into the system in those smaller counties. Age affects reoffending trends. 13 to 14, 15-year-olds have an 80% higher chance of recidivisms. 18-year-olds typically only go back to jail at 20%. So that's about a 40% change. So basically, if you get taken to jail when you're 13, 14 years old, you're most likely going to reoffend, where if you just offended for your first time when you're 18, a little less likely to go back to jail. In-home detention prevention strategies, probation is a huge one. In all the research I did, it said that it definitely having drug tests and being watched all the time definitely keeps kids out of trouble. They know someone cares about them, and it shows that they can't make one mistake or they will be going back to jail. I think sometimes that kind of scares them into not doing things. What can be done to prevent incarceration in youth? Strong and positive development at home and in school is a huge thing. So if they have a community where their family's involved, their school's involved, they know that someone cares for them, they're less likely to go out and just do whatever because they feel like they have no one and they make poor decisions. Positive reinforcement is also a big one. So if they see that they're not getting if they're not getting the help they need, then they're more likely to offend. Mentoring and extracurricular activities, that's a big one. They look forward to that. They know that someone's there watching them, and so they have someone to speak to. And bully prevention, the more bullies you have and those kids that get hurt, they're more likely to act out than those who have a strong friend group and aren't bullied. Preventing recidivism, there's 3 types. They basically kind of go off each other. So primary prevention is more of a let's just knock it before it ever happens. So the Boys and Girls Club. Secondary prevention is kind of really focuses on the kids that are at risk, such as poverty-filled or things like that. And then the tertiary is rehabilitation after they've gotten out to prevent them from going back. And I hope you learned from this that gender, age, and city all do affect how recidivism rates are. Having problems such as the Boys and Girls Club can lead to lower rates in recidivism. Education also plays a huge role, and most juveniles that reoffend will keep doing it the rest of their lives. And thank you.